I was going home every day feeling completely ineffective as a teacher.
Right now at 11, a step forward in the Portland teacher strike, the proposal that could get students one step closer to returning to the classroom. Plus, he came to inspire, and instead, thieves stole his music, the plea to get his fiddle back where it belongs. And later, the road to a championship, Orlando with the season finale of Friday Night Football. Well, good evening, everyone. Happy Friday. We begin with what appears to be some progress in the Portland teacher strike. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. On this 11th day of no class for students, the teachers union walked back from language demanding hard caps on class sizes. Instead, they are asking the district to make every effort to keep them below a certain threshold and asking for higher pay for classes that exceed those limits. While it's not clear that the alternative will get much traction with the district or how much it could cost, it appears to be a significant concession of sorts. Here's why one teacher thinks the current situation is untenable.
It's just more things that those teachers have to do, more grading, more planning, but also, again, the piece where the students aren't getting the attention that they need.
Well, the school district pushes back on the idea that classrooms have too many kids. For example, it points to elementary schools where it says 75% of classes have less than 25 students. As far as we know, tonight this issue remains unresolved. Teacher pay appears to be the other key outstanding issue. Meanwhile, tonight, teachers held a candlelight vigil at Pioneer Courthouse Square to draw attention to a related issue, mental health supports for students. Catherine Cook was there and talked to teachers and students about why it matters.
Teachers say everything in their strike wraps around their desire to be better equipped to help students. And while it may not be one of the most highly touted elements in their list of demands, they say making sure kids are getting the mental health supports they need is crucial.
We all need somebody to lean on.
More specifically, teachers say students need more qualified mental health professionals to lean on in Portland Public Schools. Senior Meredith Gifford says they're right.
I care about the people I go to school with, and I care about my teachers, and they shouldn't have to be therapists for their students. It takes time away from everyone because they want to help us, and so they do, but then to have that burden on them just isn't fair.
It's why hundreds of Portland Public School teachers and supporters held this vigil Friday night. Another way to keep holding the line in their ongoing teacher strike.
We need more counselors.
Marla Baber teaches math at Franklin High School. One of her algebra classes has 32 students. She believes that puts students' learning and mental health in jeopardy.
The idea of keeping class sizes small is not just for us to be able to teach the stuff, but also for us to be doing the social emotional learning pieces, being able to get to kids and connect with them.
Despite those strong feelings, the teachers union on Friday removed language from its proposals that calls for capping class sizes. For journalism teacher Andy Sorensen, the concession stings, but it moves them one step closer to reaching an agreement.
It eats away at you as an educator. And so I hope we can resolve this as soon as possible and get back there and do what we do best.
In the meantime, students like Meredith say they'll keep holding the line alongside their teachers and hoping that when they return, things will be different, especially with mental health.
And I know there's been a lot of worry that the strike will impact that as well and increase that, but I think it's important that we get the supports we need for students so that they can actually attend school.
In downtown Portland, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And stay with KGW for the latest on the Portland teacher strike for as long as it lasts. A reminder, students will not be in class next week. That was previously scheduled as time off. If there is a deal, they could go back as soon as the Monday after Thanksgiving. Updates anytime on KGW.com, streaming on KGW+. Meanwhile, in Oregon's second largest district, Salem-Keizer, some employees could lose their jobs next year due to a projected $73 million budget deficit. The district's been facing declining enrollments, also dealing with the end of federal pandemic dollars. Right now, 87% of the district's $1.3 billion budget is spent on wages. So to balance the books, the superintendent says the district really just has to make cuts.
If there was any way to avert that or make it less true, we would have already done it. And if there was any way for me to soften that language and still be honest, we would have softened it.
Yeah, a bit of a reality check there. Most of the layoffs will be in administration, not teachers. The superintendent says the district plans to announce the first round of cuts in December. To To get you caught up on tonight's other headlines now, an Oregon State Police lieutenant is recovering from minor injuries after his car was rammed on I-5 in Marion County. OSP says the trooper tried to pull over a driver around 8:45 this morning south of Salem. The driver refused to stop, and while the trooper was trying to get them off the highway, the driver rammed the patrol car from behind, sending it spinning into the middle barrier. The suspect was eventually stopped and arrested. No other drivers were hurt. New info tonight out of Clark County, with officials confirming the county network was hit with a sophisticated cyber attack. Now, back on October 21st, it caused a number of issues, including trouble with processing voter registrations. Officials say that's now been fixed. The county's network is once again secure. There is no indication, they add, that any personal information was impacted, though officials say they continue to investigate just how much data may have been compromised. And nearly 200 doctors at 6 Legacy Health hospitals in Oregon and Washington have voted to unionize. The doctors will join the Pacific Northwest Hospital Medicine Association. The vote comes ahead of a proposed merger by Legacy with OHSU. Registered nurses, nurse practitioners, midwives, and others say they also plan to vote on whether to unionize. In our homeless crisis, some neighbors in Multnomah Village are now expressing new concerns about Portland's plans to expand a safe rest village. Right now, the tiny home community is the smallest of 7 in the city, with 30 units versus 60 at most others. At this point, details are fairly limited, but the city says it plans to hold a listening session with neighbors later this month. Here is what some of the folks who live near the existing village told us.
I went from having a quiet, peaceful home, a place where I always felt comfortable, relaxed, and safe, to always kind of being on edge.
I was more frustrated with the city in regards to the fact that the communication seems to be a one-way street.
Well, the city says it served some 572 people across its safe rest villages between July of last year and September of this year. You're watching KGW News. Straight ahead at 11, world-class musicians ripped off in the Rose City, why all does not appear to be lost. And we are one touchdown closer to a championship. Orlando's got the goods in our season finale of Friday Night Football.
And we have another big football game down the valley tomorrow at Reser Stadium in Corvallis. So the Beavers and the Huskies, love the forecast for that. It's looking a bit rough. What a great finish, though, to the day with another fantastic coastal sunset for you. But we've got rain and wind, a lot of it on the way tomorrow.